Okay, I just started it.
Oh, I have joined the meeting as an attendee. Okay. I'm gonna hang up on us.
Does anyone want to try the link to get in?
I was hearing myself just as an echo, so it was working.
I tried the link, but for some reason I don't know where it's sending me to. It's not sending me here.
Yeah, the webinar ID number is correct because that's the one I just put in when I called.
So Lita, can you send that to communications and ask them?
Yeah, I will.
Okay, is that link working? The invitation that I sent you, does that work to get in?
It works. It's just, it's not putting me in there. I don't know if it's because I'm already in and I need to be somebody else. So let me see if communications, is there any, maybe Matt can click on the link or somebody that's working right now?
Yeah, let me call him.
In the meantime, I'll forward this to communications.
I mean, we do have the public access through the phone call because that is working. But hopefully they can work out the link as well.
I just received an email from Teresa from communications. She says the link is working.
Matt just said it's invalid.
Oy vey.
I like Teresa's answer better.
Yeah. Well, we know the webinar ID number is valid because I called in on the phone and I could hear us. So we know the phone works, and it's possible that if you put in the webinar ID manually rather than trying to click the link, that will work, but I haven't been able to do that, I think, because I'm logged in.
I'll
I'm
jump
trying to
off.
log in from my personal email and I can't get it.
It says invalid link.
I'm still dealing with trying to join the webinar. Let me try again. Stand by.
Thank you. Sorry for the delay, everyone.
Okay, I'm in as a attendee. Okay, so it's working.
Yay.
Let's go with that.
Thank you, Lita.
You're welcome.
Okay, Justin, we are working now. We're accessible to the public.
Excellent. Let's call the meeting to order. And the time is 12:19. Good to see everyone. Jennifer, will you call the roll, please?
Yes, Justin Delacruz,
Here.
Jim Hiding,
I'm here.
Tracy Lesage, you are muted. We'll come back to you because I think you're here.
Yeah.
Stephanie
I'm sorry,
Patterson.
I'm here. I couldn't
Okay,
find.
thanks, Tracy.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Stephanie Patterson,
Here.
Phil Spiegel, Martin Williams. Okay, so we have 4 out of 6 members, so we have a quorum, Justin.
Excellent. Thank you. So members of the public may speak on any item on the agenda. And I don't see anyone from the public. Or if you're hiding, please let Jennifer or type in the chat or let us know if you'd like to provide public comment at this time.
Justin, we don't have a chat because of our past Zoom bomb.
Right.
But what the public could do is raise their hand, and the only attendee that I'm showing is Teresa Ruano, who works in communications at the State Bar.
Okay. If Teresa has no public comment, we will move on to the chair's oral report. I have nothing to report, so we will move on to section 2, and it's the approval of the minutes from our last full meeting from June 25th, and approval of minutes from our August meeting, which was specially set to speak with our group facilitators. So if you've had a opportunity to review them, we'll entertain motions to approve them.
I'll move to approve them.
Jim, can you second that?
I can. I'll second that.
Great. Okay. Are there any objections to approving these minutes?
No.
Seeing none.
We need to do roll call because it's virtual.
No. Okay. We'll do it that way. Jennifer, please call the roll.
Okay, Justin Delacruz,
Aye.
Jim Hiding,
Aye.
Tracy Lesage,
Aye.
Stephanie Patterson.
Aye.
Okay, we have a majority.
Awesome. So the minutes are approved. Thank you, everyone. Section 3, staff report. Recent developments. Is this I'll turn it over to Michelle.
Thanks. The most recent development is that we are down 1 staff member. One of our clinical rehabilitation coordinators left at the end of September. So we're in the process of interviewing candidates. We had the job posted internally for a week and then externally on different job sites. So we've actually gotten a good handful of applications. So we're going through the interview process right now. Hopefully we'll be able to hire somebody in a few weeks. We've got interviews set up next week, and then we'll see if we go to a second round. So I'm hopeful about that. We also had a good group of candidates also submitting applications for the vacant positions on the Oversight Committee to fill Kelly Renasing's position. And Justin and I made a working group to review those applications. And we found someone who we think will bring some good experience and passion to our committee. We're not announcing the person yet because it's not approved by the Board of Trustees. That will go to the board, hopefully at their next meeting. Not sure if that will be on the agenda yet for their November meeting. But after that person is approved by the board, they can be appointed. Or if they're not approved by the board, we'll make another recommendation. And let's see, any questions on that? Comments?
Michelle, once you're done with your recent developments update, I'd like to discuss more potentially creating a subgroup or a subcommittee for board appointments from the bar, just to vet candidates. Because as Michelle and I were having this discussion, we were wondering whether we should have board input. In times past, there has not been or oversight committee input on the applications, and I think it might be helpful to have that just to make sure that we're covering bases and making sure that we have a well-rounded board. So, but I'll leave that for later if you have more to add.
I have other things to talk about, but not about this topic of oversight committee appointments.
Since I just brought it up, I was wondering what others thought about. So the state bar has, I think, 6 appointments to this committee. Every once in a while, someone resigns for one reason or another, and we have to fill that. Do we think it's worthwhile creating a subcommittee to help vet applications, understanding that ultimately the candidate must be approved by the Board of Trustees?
Are you suggesting recruiting subcommittee or evaluating subcommittee?
Well, it could be both. I think that I don't think we have a ton of recruitment efforts. I know when this position was posted, I saw it on Twitter. I think I probably saw it on Facebook. It was probably posted, on the website. But I think, like, for my own experience, I had to seek this out, and I came across it just by chance. So, I think the more we advertise it and there's an opening and we know people who are interested and passionate about this work, and who will be a benefit, I don't see a reason why we could call it a board development committee.
Well, I certainly don't mind giving input so that people can know more about the candidates if I should know something about the candidate. So if that's what you have in mind, I think that'd be good. Sort of like a pre-Jenny type of deal. But whatever you want, I don't know.
One thing I'll add about any subcommittees, due to Bagley-Keene, any group of over 2 people that meets has to have public meetings, and the meetings need to be noticed. So I don't know. If this
Well,
I-
we'll
should
just do
part of
what they
the
call.
oversight committee meetings that are scheduled, or if there would be separate meetings for that, but just throwing that in the mix.
I
Yeah,
think we
and-
just
and-
do BK buddies for this. And
Just to add on to Jennifer, you'd have to post, like if they submitted your application, you'd have to post that as public. And, I don't know that everybody wants all of their application information, posted as a public meeting. So that's why we recommend, it can be a subcommittee, but it shouldn't be more than 2. So maybe you want the chair and one other member or something like that. I think that's okay.
Yeah, I envisioned having 2 people, no more than 2 people, or 2 members on the committee. It could include myself, but also, I want to encourage others, if they want to be more involved, to be more involved. And I think Stephanie is muted a couple times. So.
I think this is a great idea. So that way we can kind of get more input from the members or the oversight committee members, as well in terms of the individual who will potentially be joining the oversight committee. I think that's great.
Tracy, do you have any thoughts on this?
I'm kind of thinking the same as Jim. I'd be happy to give input, but I asked and I know them, so I'm good either way.
Sounds like a wonderful committee of you and Stephanie.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that sounds good. Okay, so do we need a motion to create the committee and appoint members? Or can we just do it without?
Lori or Jennifer, do we need it to be a business item in order to make a motion?
Yeah, I think if it has to be on the agenda, if you're going to do it that way, but I don't know that that's necessary. I think that the chair can appoint a subcommittee to handle something, and you could do it probably when it comes up. So I don't know that it has to be done right now, unless you're saying you're changing what we're moving forward with right now, or this is for the future, I'm assuming.
This is for a future. I just
Yeah.
wanted to bring it up just because I know we had discussed, whether or not the board should have input, and I think a subcommittee is perfect for that.
Yeah.
Could it be called working group instead of subcommittee? Or Lori, do you think that the naming of it doesn't make a difference?
The name doesn't matter. It still will have to, in terms of the number of people you could have on it or whatever, I don't think that affects it. But I don't know that there's need to take action on it right now, because, next time it comes up, then Michelle can reach out, Justin, and you could, create the subcommittee or working group at that time when we need it.
That sounds good. Sounds good to me. Okay, thanks,
there-
everyone.
So, timeline by when the person needs to be selected, or not selected, but the candidate needs to be considered.
The current person that you're looking into? It all depends on the board's the board calendar for getting things on the agenda. So if you would like the person approved sort of as soon as possible to get it on the November calendar, we have to be working on that right now and moving it forward. If there's not a big hurry, then it'd have to wait till the next time the board meets. I think it would probably have to wait till the January meeting then.
Okay, that's all I had on that. Michelle, additional recent developments?
I wanted to share with you all since we just finished a quarter, the third quarter of 2021, we got our satisfaction survey statistics in, and this quarter, our admin staff, Matt Adams, did some new creative thing with the quarterly reports that our participants are required. So when they fill out their quarterly reports, which is on an online form, it automatically gives them a prompt at the end. Do you want to fill out the satisfaction survey? So they could go straight to it. And so we had a much higher response rate this past quarter than we've had for previous quarters. And we still met our targets. So the response to the question of if the information and services effectively and appropriately address my goals, 94% said they agree or strongly agree. And then same thing, 94% agreed that overall they're satisfied with their LAP experience. So that's good. Our benchmark was 80%. So we definitely surpassed the 80% benchmark.
That's great. And I like the fact that we have incorporated technology in order to allow individuals the opportunity to immediately complete their surveys to increase that survey response rate. I know that was one of the things we wanted to do in terms of our strategic planning for 2020 to 2022. I'm not mistaken.
It was, I had a little bit of a hard time hearing you, but you're saying it was part of our strategic plan to increase access or to increase the participation in that survey?
Increase the utilization or incorporation of technology. Sorry, I don't know why I'm not able to hear that well, but in terms of our strategic planning, I know part of what we wanted to do, including incorporating more technology in order to increase utilization.
Yes, technology. Even though we've had some serious problems with technology lately. Yes, so I'm very glad that he was able to incorporate that. Matt is always good with some like creative ideas. And I think that was all I had updates on. And actually the first business, Lita is up first because she has a presentation that she's doing after this. So she's also going to talk about of what she's been doing related to the strategic plan, of course, with outreach. And so we can talk about that more too on her business item topic about how, and any ideas to utilize technology differently there too.
Any questions for Michelle? Okay, seeing none. Legislative update?
The fee bill was signed, nothing different for LAP, no interesting update there.
When do they start? And maybe Lori or you, Michelle, can help. When do they start developing legislative proposals for 2022?
I mean, they start really early. So, you know, once they get the current fee bill signed, they start thinking about what they're going to request for the next year. So it's always kind of in process. Because everything has to be done by, I think if they really want anything considered, they have to get it to the legislature, you know, fairly early in 2022 for it to then be enacted and to actually happen in 2023. So I know it's kind of a vague answer, but I mean, it's kind of always an open, you know, calendar of thinking about what they'll start requesting for the next year.
Yeah, I know they have to get their bills in the third week of February or so. So that should be, we should have some idea about what the bar is asking for, but that always changes anyway. So, but was just curious if there was any internal process that needed to go to.
But at
Okay,
least we know now that through 2022, our funding will be the same with our $10 for active member, $5 for inactive, and $1 if the active is going to the other bar will still be all the way through 2022.
yeah, that's great news. It's great news. Okay, let's move to item 4 and outreach discussions, item A, and that's Lita.
Thank you. So outreach has been going very well. As of today's date, I've conducted 63 presentations. Of those, 16 were at law schools, 9 were for organizations, 15 were for bar associations, 16 were for government agencies, and 7 were for law firms. Also, as part of our strategic plan, there are certain demographics that we're also supposed to reach out to. So of those 63, 2 were to immigration type firms or organizations. 3 were in rural areas for bar associations. 1 was presented to attorneys dealing with senior issues, senior attorneys. And 3 were for national organizations that I presented to. During this last quarter, I had actually 4 presentations that were canceled. 1 was in South Lake Tahoe. I was literally, it was the day before, I had my bags packed, ticket in my hand, ready to drive out to the airport. And I got an email saying, oh, we have to cancel, the fire is on, you know, en route to our location. So, you know, these past, since March of 2020, you just have to learn how to pivot because so many things can happen at the last minute. Another one that well, let me go into some other stats first. So as far as law students that I've presented to for up to this point throughout the year, it's been 731, which is, I think, a great number. And as far as my MCLEs, normally it's attorneys, but it could be non-attorneys in that group. I've presented to about 2,400. So that's a nice large number there. When I'm still doing my quarterly newsletters that come out through communications and admissions, my biannual emails that go out specifically to law students and bar applicants, which are, that email goes out to over 25,000. And we have emails that are sent out to deans and registrars from communications, as well as all our social media, the Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, as far as social media posts, and then there have been videos that I actually filmed that have been posted not only to those 3 social medias, but also to Instagram. On Instagram, they only post videos. And I have 20 more presentations scheduled throughout the end of the year, and I already have 4 scheduled for 2022, which is great. I had one big presentation coming up this week, and that was our State Bar Day. We had almost 900 people registered for that, and unfortunately, due to some technical issues, it had to be canceled. And I was really looking forward to that because in our last State Bar Day, we had 215 students that attended that, which represented over 29 law schools. So we probably would have had double that amount if everything was working properly with our technology. But like I said, you've got to learn how to pivot, and things happen sometimes. So overall, outreach has been great. I keep getting positive feedback from people who are saying, we love these presentations, we want to have more of these. You need to let everybody know about it. And I said, I'm trying my best to let every attorney out there know about it, every bar applicant, and every law student. So that's basically my wrap up for this past quarter. Any questions?
I have a comment. I want to commend you for your efforts and for the great success it sounds like you're having with this, to present to 2,400 lawyers and 731 law students. That's really good. That's really good outreach. And I was just wondering, do we track the connection between people who are coming into the LAP program or whatever, into recovery of some nature, or going to their mental health practitioner after as a result of the presentations? Is there any way to track that? Like, I went to this seminar by Ms. Isabella, and that made me decide to do X. Is there any way we track any of that?
We don't have any tracking for if people do any other kind of recovery, but when they do come into the LAP, we ask them how they were referred. And so when we have our end of the year stats out, it'll say how many said from presentations who came to the LAP after that.
Right. Well, anyway, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you.
I second that, and I also appreciate the emphasis on law students, because I know that when I was in law school, I don't recall any of these services being available, including the career counseling component. So I do want to just go ahead and thank you for the work that you're doing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Lita, you are busy, and really appreciate your work. And I feel like every meeting we sing your praises, and it's well deserved. This time's no different. 20 more presentations before the end of the year. You're just really busy. I might add another one for my agency, but I'll talk to you offline for that. Thanks so much for your hard work. And any other questions or comments for Lita?
I will just say the reason usually Lita gives her update as part of the staff report. The reason we put it as a business item, as you saw when we were talking earlier, is because in order for it to be, if anyone wants to make any suggestions or has any ideas or things that you want us to talk about, and we needed to make motions about it, we would need it to be a business item. So that's why it's here. Of course, Lita is doing great and probably has enough to keep her busy at least through the end of the year or through our next meeting. But if anybody wants to talk about ideas that you've had, or different outreach ideas, or different ways to use the technologies that you might have come across, every once in a while, like the Poll Everywhere software, we come up with things that Lita's been able to use really effectively. And it's just because somebody saw it in somebody else's presentation and brought it up to us.
Well, let me ask this. Is there anything that you would suggest that you need for, you were talking about rural presentations, for example, you've done 3, and there's a lot of distance out there, and a lot of little bergs throughout the state that don't get touched sometimes. So I don't know if we can do outreach to them through the remote channels or not, or what. I just would like to know if you have any suggestions or requests that you feel would facilitate your work. And does
I
the
think-
other bar support you good enough? You know, I have good connections with the other bar, so tell me if they don't support you well enough, and I'll make sure that I kick them in the rear, and they do.
The other bar, well, a lot of times if I'm requested for a presentation and I can't do it because I'm already booked, I do refer them to the other bar. And I'm hoping that if the tables were turned, that the other bar would also refer them to us so that I can present. I hope that we are working as partners in, getting the information out. One thing I forgot to mention was that in the past quarter, I've presented 3 in-person presentations. So I'm starting to get more and more as the world is opening up. But doing it virtually has been great because I can reach more, especially the rural areas where normally people will never drive out there, fly out there, whatever. But a lot of the outreach that I'm getting, because I keep track of, well, how did you hear about our program? How did you hear about that I'm an MCLE presenter, that I can conduct this free MCLE for you? And a lot of it's been because of the State Bar website, which we revised, and through social media, and the fact that I've presented for, ABC Bar Association, and they told XYZ Bar Association. And so then they tell somebody else, and that's been great advertisement and marketing for us.
Lisa, does the State Bar do any posts every time that you do a presentation?
They do advertise it if I'm hosting, which I've hosted 7 since the beginning of the year. It's about every other month that I'm hosting, and it goes out to everybody throughout California. If it's something where, let's say, like I think today I'm doing Santa Barbara County Council or something, it's not usually advertised because it's only for that particular bar association. That it's not that it's well, it's usually just for those members. So and some organizations where it's like the DA's office or something, we can't have the public because certain protocols and so forth. But the State Bar does help when I'm the one that's hosting, and it's open to everybody.
Okay.
So
Any
thank
other
you.
questions? Okay. Any other questions? Doesn't look like any. Thank you, Lita. So let's move on to item B, follow up on our discussion with the group facilitators regarding the benefits of continuing remote versus in-person. I didn't think that there was any action to take on this, but my impression was the overwhelming majority of group facilitators liked the virtual option and reported back that the participants preferred it that way too. And I think I also took note that it didn't seem to affect the services or their, I don't want to call it treatment, but there's the services that were provided to the participants. So that was my impression. Others?
I agree.
I agree, and I also like the feedback from the facilitators who are saying that if things were to change currently, because they have been working so effectively at this point, lawyers, law students, State Bar applicants, law clerks, that may engender some mistrust. And I think that if it's working effectively and lawyers are, not lawyers, all legal professionals are still able to attend, I think this is great. And I think something we really want to possibly consider continuing.
Tracy, do you have any thoughts?
I missed that meeting, sorry.
Okay, that's all right.
But I mean, it sounded like they were happy with the virtual meetings.
Yeah, and I think another thing to note is that they were really appreciative of the opportunity to be part of the meeting, which also made me think, should we have like a standing item for group facilitators to bring up stuff? And I'm sure they probably do that with you, Michelle. But I didn't know if anyone else had thoughts on that, or actually I should ask you first, Michelle, if you think that would be a good idea, because we definitely don't want to go around you because, you know, you
No,
are supervising.
I think they would really appreciate the invitation. That we had it on the agenda because last time when the group facilitators were there, in case there were things you wanted to talk about without them being present, this would be an opportunity, and to give, like, because Tracy missed it, to give an update on what was said. Of course, you can, there's a webcast somewhere. Is that what it's called? The recording of it is somewhere if anybody wants to watch it. They do communicate with me if there's stuff that's going on, and, you know, if there's information that we need to push out to the group facilitators, like, you know, have a group list of all of them, can send it. But I think they appreciated being there, and it was kind of, you know, a special occasion at this time, but it doesn't need to be. We can invite them. We can either make it like an annual every January type of thing, or just, you know, as issues come up, invite them and aim for about once a year if there's a topic that we want their feedback on.
Yeah, I think including them, you know, not having any benchmarks, but just, you know, if there's an item that we believe that's going to affect the group, like, I think we should invite them.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be good to have like an annual meeting. I mean, that we would specifically invite them for their input, you know, and celebrate their successes for the year.
Mm-hmm.
I also agree with Jim on the annual benchmark, because I think it's important to engage facilitators to get their insight on what is happening on the ground.
I agree too. That's a great idea.
So do you think it would be useful to also include our group, or I'm blanking on the name right now, our clinical,
Oh, the CRCs, the clinical
CRCs, yeah.
rehabilitation coordinators.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think it'd be good to, you know, if we were going to, like, say, for example, we were going to do an annual thing in our December meeting, do you think it would be good? I mean, because we should celebrate them too and get their input as well. Again, I understand I'm sure they report to you any needs or issues, but, you know, it would be nice to give them the opportunity to speak to us if they have anything they want to bring up.
So yeah, this sounds like an end of the year type of thing, like being able to celebrate the group facilitators, I think was the word you used, and like express appreciation to people. If we're meeting approximately quarterly, we might not have another meeting before the end of the year, but we can always bring like the holiday spirit into the beginning of next year and schedule it for
Yeah.
January meeting.
Yeah, that works. Kick off the new year
Mm-hmm.
on a positive note.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Spring renewal.
Right.
Sounds good. Okay, so that's something we could put on the agenda for January. If there's nothing else on item B, let's go to item C, feedback on the ABA Commission's Lawyer Assistance Program's annual meeting. And this is for Jim and Stephanie.
Well, I'll start, I guess. I thought it was a great meeting. It was certainly energetic and enthusiastic with the participants. There was one meeting I especially liked. I made all kinds of notes, you know, and I've got, if anybody wants any of the handouts, I got a mess of handouts. And some of them are really informative and very good. But this one meeting that I really liked was called On the Fringe or in the Mix. It's attorney well-being for all. And the reason I liked it is because forever I've been trying to solicit the minority bars to participate in the recovery efforts, and organize in recovery efforts. And so this one was a presentation that was organized by Raul Ayala from Los Angeles. He's a Los Angeles federal public defender and does the drug court there. And program ambassador was Derek LaCroix he's from Canada, been involved in lawyer assistance programs forever. But some of the presenters were Elia Diaz-Yeager, the president of the Hispanic National Bar Association, A.B. Cruz, the president of the National Asian Pacific American Bar Association, Sharish Siddiqui, the president of the National Association of Muslim Lawyers, and Lonita Baker, the president-elect of the National Bar Association, Colleen Lamar, president of the National Native American Bar Association, and Samir Mehta, president of the South Asian Bar Association of North America, as well as the LGBTQ plus bar, past president Eduardo Juarez. And I've presented to the National Bar Association at their national convention and encouraged their activity. But this was really encouraging to see all of those presidents there and really getting on board with the idea of wellness, attorney wellness and outreach within their organization. So I was very encouraged. There was a lot of stuff that went on. There was a lawyer effectiveness factors panel that talked about a focus on 4 kind of factors that they felt predict performance in lawyers, which are problem solving, advocacy, practicality, and communication skills. And they translated all of that into virtue-oriented lawyering. So lawyering that has virtue as a base to it, which was, really kind of the feeling of why you become a lawyer in the first place, that you sometimes lose, in the hustle bustle of daily life and trying to make a buck and the big fight in court. So virtue-oriented lawyering, very interesting stuff. But I saw Stephanie was there. I attended the Al-Anon meeting early on, and then the AANAs and the welcome, and I saw Stephanie was on. I felt good to see that she was on board with the program as well. So I'll defer to her.
Great. So thank you. And I just had an awesome time as well. I also attended last year, and this year's theme was writing the LAP story, reset, recover, and renew. There was really great information. One of the sessions that I particularly liked, as Jim mentioned, was the attorney well-being for all. And one of the things that stood out for me was Lonita Baker, the president-elect of the National Bar Association. She talked about, or suggested rather, that we have to allow lawyers, law students, and other legal professionals to feel comfortable expressing themselves when they may be dealing with any mental health struggles. And this is just a way of allowing individuals to be their authentic self. And she is an African-American attorney. Those of you familiar with some of the work she's done, she has taken on many civil rights issues, notable cases out there. And then in the legal profession, even in law school, we're often taught you don't ever want to show weakness. And I think that sometimes this can get in the way of just honest discussion, and as it relates to mental health. And then there's other topics that came up in terms of during the yoga session, I was there, I think both days. The speaker mentioned how we have to have well-being in all areas of our being, as an attorney, as a law student, as a state bar applicant, as a judge. And this ties into well-being and resilience, because we are whole people. And with that being said, it's also important to understand other people's experiences and other people's lived experiences, because it gives normalcy to the issues that people are going through. And there was a lot of information, feedback. One of the lab attendees mentioned how we need more open conversations. And this is important as it relates to collaborating among, within, and across multiple organizations in order to help bring individuals from the fringes to the forefront. People should not be suffering in silence. People should not have to deal with depression as lawyers or law students, simply because they don't want their colleagues to know, or because it may appear that it's some sign of weakness. So there needs to be more done in terms of reducing stigma as it relates to mental health issues and substance use disorders in the legal profession. And I think that these conversations are very important. Other labs also talked about what they're doing in terms of incorporating technology, like like what we're doing here in California. But technology, of course, like Michelle mentioned previously, it's not always perfect. But I think the silver lining in all of this is that we have to be grateful that this pandemic hit at a time we are connected through technology. Otherwise, we would be in the dark ages, not able to interact with people. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about in a nutshell. Let's see if I'm missing anything.
While you're looking at that, they formed a couple of the people who were instrumental in getting the survey done with the Hazel and Betty Ford Center and the ABA, have now formed this business, or it's got a nonprofit called the Institute for Wellbeing in the Law. I don't know exactly what all of that leads to, but I'm sure it will be dynamic and create a lot of publications and that sort of thing. Institute for Wellbeing in the Law, IWIL. But the goal, I think, of the whole program, it seemed to me, was this one phrase: encourage help-seeking behaviors. And so if we can do that in all forms and all peoples, that's what we should do, I think.
I agree. That's a great point. And so, another thing that I think is important too, other members from other LEP labs shared positive feedback received after they sent well-being care packages. And inside of those care packages were things like pens, hand sanitizers, to legal professionals to show that they were supported, not just on paper, but they put some meaning was put behind that support in the form of appreciation. There was another session that had to do with law students, and it talked about the importance of having wellness coaches. Wellness coaches can, to some extent, help future lawyers learn how to appropriately deal with failure, mistakes, and setbacks in a productive way, because we're not going to always win our cases. So we have to learn how to deal with those issues in a positive way. So that's my takeaway from, in a nutshell, from the most recent collab.
Well, thank you, Jim and Stephanie. And it's amazing that you're able to take so much. I'm assuming this is all virtual. In a virtual setting. I guess that makes it easier for access. And I remember to the one collab that I was able to go to, with a bunch of other oversight committee members and staff, was a great experience. I'm hoping that next year we have the opportunity to do that next year, because I think it's amazing to connect with people in person who are doing this work and to get ideas from them, I think it's a just an amazing event. And thanks for attending and representing us well.
Thank you.
I was just going to make a really quick comment. I also attended along with other people from our office. And I remember seeing Stephanie at 7 in the morning. We both were in yoga every morning, which is great to open up the day with a morning stretch of yoga poses and so forth. And Jim, you mentioned the Institute on Wellbeing, or the Institute on Wellbeing Task Force. So Michelle's been on it a lot longer than I have. I just joined, I think about 2 meetings ago, but that's people from all throughout the United States, and they're putting a lot together, and I'm real excited about being part of that program. So I see a lot of great programs that will be coming in the future with that. But I thought the co-op was awesome, and I agree with you, Justin. I can't wait for next year if we can. I think it's in a state that we're allowed to go to, so that
Scheduled to be in Washington, D.C.
Washington,
We're able
yeah.
to
It's not a state
the
yet.
world open enough again to go there. But yeah, it was supposed to be in DC this year, and then they ended up doing virtual, and so they'll have it there again next year if we're able to do it in person.
Thank you.
Hey, any other thoughts or comments for Jim and Stephanie? All right, seeing none. Let's move on to item D, the Attorney Supervision and Assistance Redesign Project. Lori?
Hello, everybody. So I wanted to update you on this project, and I know Jim is on our steering committee and we haven't had a meeting for a while. And really it's because it's such an involved project that as we tackle these individual pieces, they're taking longer than we had anticipated. And, you know, it's really a project that's really in the weeds, quite frankly. So what we've been working on a great deal lately is working with the State Bar Court to redraft what the probation conditions language will look like. Our original goal was to give much more discretion to the probation deputies to be able to, after conducting a risk assessment, be able to then tailor the conditions to the individual respondents after they'd been met with, and we determined what seemed to be the best conditions. The court has expressed some reluctance to give that much discretion to the probation case specialists at this time. So we're kind of going with more of a compromise approach where the court will still order the conditions, but we'll work on some of the language in them. And then once we conduct our risk assessment, we'll go back to the court with something if it looks like an area was missed that our risk assessment is saying, if we add this, it will help the person be successful on their probation or more successful. But one of the areas that we are hoping that we're going to get the court to agree and is that instead of the court ordering specifics on conditions that involve substance use and mental health or behavioral health issues, is that the default will be to just refer to our LAP professionals. If they see that there's an area that the respondent needs help in, they're identified as having a substance use issue, we'll refer them to LAP, and then the LAP professionals will evaluate and say, okay, this is what seems to be the best way for this person to handle this issue. What happens right now often, and no disrespect to the judges who do their best to pick the conditions, is the court might say, we think this person should attend 2 AA meetings a week. And, you know, we think it would be better if it's the LAP professionals working with the respondent to come up with recommendations like that. So we're hoping that that's going to be one of the big changes that we get in the conditions language, even if we don't get all the other things that we had kind of hoped for, at least at this early stage as we move this forward. So we're still working on that. And like I said, you know, I don't know if anybody's drafted conditions and rules and things like that, but every word obviously matters. And as we go back through it all, we find, oh, we better make this more clear. We better make that more clear. So we've really been working quite hard on getting those conditions just right. One of the other things that we're doing, I might have mentioned this before, is we're going to be doing motivational interviewing training with our probation case specialists so that they can hopefully elicit more helpful information from the respondents who are involved in the probation process when they start the intake process, so that we get more helpful information that can lead the probation case specialist, along with the risk assessment, to recommend probation conditions that we hope will help address whatever issues got them into trouble in the first place, and then help to craft the conditions that we might recommend to really help them be tailored to what this person will need to help them be more successful. So we just got everything approved to start moving forward on that training, and that should be, we're hoping to start it before the end of the year to get some of that training going. And one of the other things that we've had that is in the final stages, hopefully to be approved for working actually up and live at the beginning of next year, if we're lucky, is a probation portal that will have all of the conditions that a respondent has to comply with on through their My State Bar profile. They could go to this link, go to the probation portal. On there will be deadlines and reminders and what their conditions are, and some helpful resource guides and things for them to be able to access virtually through this platform, so that they're not still getting lots of emails and letters and things with all of this that it's harder to keep track of. But this will be a good place that they can go see everything on a calendar format or a list format, so that they can see what their deadlines are and what's upcoming, so that they can have help them to organize and stay more on top of their conditions, so that hopefully they comply with everything in a timely manner. So those are some of the big pieces. We're continuing to work on our risk assessment with an outside professional to help us with that piece. And that is going to probably spill over definitely into next year till we have a little more update on exactly what that's going to look like. So if there are any questions, I'm happy to take them.
I was curious, Lori, who this specialist you're working with on the risk assessment tool is?
His name is Dr. Michael Baglivio. He's out of, I think it's the University of Florida, and he has worked on a number of risk assessments in areas. I think particularly he did work in juvenile criminal risk assessments. And so he's helping us to go through the data right now that we have on our respondents to see if there are commonalities amongst the data that we have that shows, okay, if you have this, this, and this, a respondent is less likely to be successful on probation. And so we recommend that you try and, really focus in on them and help that group to, with whatever intervention would be appropriate to help them be more successful. So there's really nobody out there who's ever done this for a professional group like we're trying to do with our attorneys. So it's a little bit novel to try and find somebody to help us, who is a risk, a data specialist in this area. And Dr. Baglivio has seemed to be, he was recommended us, and when we did the interviews and then contracted with him, he's diligently working on this right now, still going through the data, just trying to see what risk patterns there might be that the data shows us.
Yeah, I was just interested because I know that, just as you mentioned, that I don't think there's any expertise out there in this field, and that risk assessment tool, if it's not accurate, I mean, the treatment recommended could end up doing more harm than good. So
absolutely, and we certainly want to also, and one thing that I is definitely impressed with Dr. Baglivio is he's talking about you have to be aware of implicit bias, right? You have to avoid bias in the assessment. And so there's things that in looking at the data, you kind of have to consider everything to then make sure that what you're coming up with as recommendations is not including something that is making the risk assessment biased. So then we have to work to, once we have all the information, look to see that it's really an impartial way of handling it and taking out anything that is might cause the risk assessment to have any sort of bias in it. So that's all being considered as we go through this. We did look at some, early on when we were starting this, we reached out kind of everywhere to see if there was anybody doing any sort of predictive analytics in this area. And we did find that in the United Kingdom, they do some of this with attorneys, but they do it more with law firms. And what they do is they analyze like the attorney bank accounts. And if they see certain things going on, then they worry that there's like a money laundering going on in that law firm. And so they have ways of using predictive analytics to look into something like that. But we didn't find anybody who was using it more on like an individual level to try and determine if a particular attorney was at risk of getting into to trouble. Other than Nova Scotia has some work they do on that, but and their tools are pretty good, but they have such an ability to, because there's so few attorneys in Nova Scotia, they're able to really make it so personalized that some of what they do wasn't necessarily feasible for California. But we've been looking at all these different options to see if there's any pieces of the different, parts that other groups are using that we can use as we continue to create ours.
Yeah, thank you for that. I just know, when I'm a public defender, as you know, and I worked in all the collaborative courts, and those risk assessment tools are so key to getting the treatment regimen correct and determining accurate risk. Usually the tool is validated over time before it's put in place. So that's why I was asking more questions about it, because I wasn't aware of any out there either.
Yeah, and so we have a probation officer who is our consultant on the project as well, Brian Richard, who's he's the chief probation officer for El Dorado County. And I certainly am no expert on this, but he's been trying to educate me over the past year or so that we've all worked together. And what we're aware that nothing can be an evidence-based practice, right, until we actually have the evidence. So we won't have that for a few years, but what we want to do is try and start using it so that it can at least be evidence informed based on the data that we do have, and then we'll be testing it out over the time to see if it holds up to actually hopefully be valid. And if nothing else, we're hoping extra services and resources to our respondents. We don't anticipate we're doing something that is going to be sort of punishing as we recommend things. It looks like you have a problem with managing your finances. So what our risk assessment has shown is if you take a course in X, that might help you to, do better in that area and hopefully prevent you from getting in trouble in the future, right? Something like that. And then of course, as we will track all of that data and see if those kinds of things help prevent that attorney from getting in trouble again in the future.
I'm
Thank you.
inspired. I'm really inspired, Lori, to hear about the motivational interviewing training that's in the pipeline. I'm impressed with that because it is, in fact, an evidence-based practice. I use it currently, and as a board-certified psychiatric nurse practitioner. It's, for those who don't know, motivational interviewing, it's a collaborative approach to take to help strengthen a person's own motivation and commitment to change. So this is something that I use when interacting with my patients who have mental health needs, to come together and determine what's going to help motivate them to improve their own situation and to improve their overall health and well-being. So I think this is great. In fact, maybe even a side note, in my doctoral nursing practice program, I incorporated motivational interviewing into my project. And it was very successful in terms of improving a patient's motivation to help them adhere to their appointments. So that was great to hear.
Well, thank you, Stephanie. Yes, and our the consultant I mentioned, Brian Richard, who is a probation officer, they do use that in their the office that he runs, and he as you said, he's a proponent of it. He thinks it is helpful in getting people to find their motivation and hopefully to try and help them be successful. So we're hoping to incorporate more of it, and as we get everybody trained, we'll start to use the techniques that they learn, and hopefully help these respondents who want to try and get back to practice, no matter what their issue might be, to protect the public by putting an active and honest attorney back in practice, who will follow the ethical rules and everything like that. So that's what we're working toward.
Lori, how long does motivational interview training take? I mean, is it a course of 3 days or a week or what?
So we're going to be doing, there's some in-person, they'll be remote, but in-person sort of live sessions, and a number of e-learning courses. I think there's 6 e-learning courses that we'll be taking over a number of months. and then following up with the sessions with the trainer that will be the live sessions to reinforce what's learned in the e-learning courses. So yeah, it's not just like a 3-day thing or something like that. We're gonna try and really like spend the time, hopefully, to get into it. I know it's something that people have to continue to use and practice and things like that. But to start out, we're gonna do as much of like kind of an intensive as we can to get people immersed in it over a number of months.
All right. Any other questions for Lori regarding the ASAR? Seeing none, and that was the last item on our agenda, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Before the motion, I just wanted to say normally our meetings over the past 10 years have taken place in March, June, September, and December. And this year we had March, June, and then with the group facilitator meeting added, we had August and October. So Michelle, I don't know if you think the next meeting will be in December, or I don't know if you said something about January, but I just thought I'd tell everyone what the classic LAP quarterly schedule was, which was March, June, September, and December.
It's to have another meeting by December, we'd have to schedule really quick so we can post it, and it gets busy in the holidays. Do you all want to try and do a December meeting, or we want to adjust our schedule?
How about if we stretch it out a little bit and do it in February, and then we can get closer to where we were last year or the year before and start in February that way. What do you think?
That sounds good to me.
I'm good with that.
Because the holidays are coming up, I'm good with that.
We'll do the usual. We'll send out a doodle poll as it gets closer and find that, give a couple of options to find when most people are available. And we'll include group facilitators and the CRC in the next one.
Sounds good.
Sounds great.
What was the month again? Was it February or?
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn. Hiding.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
I
Aye. Good to see you all. Well, if I don't speak to you before then, happy holidays and have an excellent rest of the year.
Same
All
to
right.
you. Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you,
Bye, everyone.
Justin. Bye.
Bye.